What's up, Plebheads? I'm Neo, and I'm here tonight with my main man, my brother, and my fellow monster hunter,
Jdog.
We are the Balding Plebs. Welcome to our full review and analysis of the Monster Hunter World Beta and what we think going forward. Jdog, take it away.
Let me spread out my 8 pages of notes here.
Jesus.
I wanted to get my thoughts collected because I think this is a relatively important thing to talk about. We streamed it for a good 10 or 12 hours, right?
I have one point I need to make about the game. It's good. That is all. Just kidding.
So yeah, we streamed for about, between the two of us, probably a good 10, 12 hours worth of content onto the channel, and just figured we'd tidy it up with the video and give overall final thoughts. So why don't we just break it down point by point?
And we are in the process of putting together our top moments from the streams. Some of it the blurry streams from the first day, and then some of it the not so blurry streams when we started using the
yeah, I wish the streams would have looked a little better, to be honest, but at the end of the day, that's fine.
PlayStation's actual stream processing power is pretty crap.
So it's actually hopefully going to be better than that when the game releases.
Yeah, I hope so. Or we'll be using a lot of remote play.
All right, so let's talk about this thing. So this was a beta they released over the last weekend. December 9th, 10th, and 11th were the play dates for it.
Yep.
And we got a lot of time with this. We were able to complete all 3 of the quests, and then there was 3 additional monsters within the 2 areas. 3 other monsters that were not part of the main quest that we also were able to kill multiple times. And we used a variety of weapons and basically kind of got our hands on with Monster Hunter World for the first time. So I think we just start off and just talk right off the bat about the graphics of the game. For me, when you turn on the beta, if you're using a PlayStation Pro, which we are, or we're using, it allows you to either prioritize your resolution, your graphics, or your frame rate. And I tried with both. I guess I really don't notice a huge difference in the graphics or resolutions when you choose those options. So for me, I always want to play with optimizing frame rate. For an action game like this, I need fluidity in my character's movements, and I'm willing to give up a little graphical fidelity for that. I thought the graphics in this game were very good. Are they world-changing? I don't think they're world-changing by any means, but they are very, very good. Lots of lighting, lots of shadows. You see the sun coming in and glinting off the water. You see a bunch of little creatures running around. You see little ants running along the sand, fish, birds. So there's a lot going on. The worlds look incredible. They are filled with different plant life, different places you can explore, and they're multi-leveled. So the overall feeling of immersion is very true within the game.
I agree. That was one thing when we were playing with the environments like you were talking. You kind of felt like you were there, and so it's like we were talking when we broke this down earlier in our previous videos. I wanted it to be a world that I would want to spend time in. I wanted it to be a world that I wouldn't want to necessarily leave right away. A world that if I spent an hour in, or 50 minutes, or 45 minutes, then it'd be fine. And so far, it has proven to be that. I haven't really found myself saying, God, let's just get this over with already.
Yeah, 2 environments, and for as much as we played, I still didn't think we saw everything there was to see.
I know for a fact that we didn't.
In those 2 environments. So the environments are very large. They're massive. They're, like I said, multi-leveled. And I just think they did a really great job of creating spaces that you want to play in.
Absolutely.
I also thought the monsters looked fine. They looked very larger than life, so to speak. I thought their movements were well done.
Yeah, the monster animation was really good, and
animations were good.
They feel like they have they really have a life of their own in this game.
Yes, they do.
Just the way the Anjanath stalks from area to area, looks around, checks things out, sniffs things, interacts with the other creatures.
Yep.
Speaking of interacting with other creatures, let's talk about the monsters fighting for a second.
All right.
What'd you think about that?
So, we talk about the monsters, right? This is obviously the core of the game, right? If the monsters aren't cool, You can call it Monster Hunter all you want. It's going to be boring awful quick.
Yep.
When you call a game Monster Hunter, that fight, that moment of meeting the monster has to be epic. This game does an incredible job of capturing that. It is something that is hard to capture on the handheld versions of this game. They did as good as they could, I thought, unlike the 3DS versions. But this really knocks it out of the park. I'm playing on a 65-inch 4K screen, and it is an awesome experience to see the Anjanath or the Rathalos fly by, or the Diablos. Incredible, incredible moments to see that monster for the first
Because
time.
when you were on 3DS, he was on a screen about this big, and now
it's
he's
hard to feel
small.
Intimidated by a 3-inch high monster. It's a lot.
I don't disagree with you.
It's a
You're
lot.
not wrong.
The monster on the big screen is an intimidating presence. They are ferocious. They have huge attacks. Right? They look very lifelike. They fight with each other. They have turf wars. It's just an awesome thing to witness. There were times in the beta when they were fighting, and I just stood there. Yeah, you could go up and get an attack in, but sometimes you just want to take in the scene. It almost reminds me in a lot of ways of the Godzilla movies, right? When Godzilla and Mothra or
he's
whoever,
fighting the Mutos or
whatever they're fighting,
Yeah.
You just see these two beasts, or whether it's that or Transformers, or you could even go Avengers, when you have these two larger-than-life creatures, right, or superheroes or whatever it is, and they do battle and the world just stands still and watches. And that's kind of the moments that were being presented, at least in this beta so far, when you'd have Rathalos and Anjanath going at each other.
That was really cool. Pick him up and carry him a little bit and drop him
Yeah,
down. That was pretty
or you'd
neat.
have the Uratodos and the Baroth
Yeah,
fighting.
that was awesome.
So there was just these incredible moments where these two creatures, larger-than-life creatures, had to settle their differences, and you, the hunter, were going to stand there and you were going to let them decide it before you got in there. It was very cool to see it in the way it was presented. And the final thing I'll mention about the monsters is because of the way they're presented, the way that they have these ferocious roars, right, when you see them, and they just exude this presence and this power. When you finally beat them, it is this epic, awesome sense of accomplishment.
And I think we compared Monster Hunter World a lot. We talked about it a lot in comparison with Dauntless.
Yes.
Dauntless's monsters do not have that fearsome roar.
They
For
don't
the most
have the
part.
intimidation. They don't have that sense of epic accomplishment.
Yep.
This game nails it. All the Monster Hunter games that I've played on the handhelds also get this right. The scale of this is so much greater because of, again, you're on a 65-inch screen. You've got the surround sound going. It is a great immersive experience.
Both best roar Monster Hunter beta.
Diablos.
No question.
Yeah, awesome.
Best roar in the game, is my opinion.
Yep. So again, when you finally kill one of these things, and they had the beta tuned just right, where even with 4 players using weapons you were really good with, you'd be lucky to get one of these bigger monsters dead with about maybe 18 minutes. That's where we were at on a lot of them, and so you really felt that sense of stress and that sense of, come on guys, we can do this. And when you finally felled them with a minute to spare, it was just this incredible sense of accomplishment. We talk about this a lot in games, right? Moments you want to talk about with your friends, moments you want to go to work the next day and say, hey man, you have got to check this out, you've got to see this game. This has been lacking for us in a lot of games recently. You buy them, you play them, there's not a wow factor. This game has an incredible wow factor to it.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
yes, it does.
When you can't play the beta, right? Like, we're doing this video the day after the beta ended, basically, and we can't play it anymore. And the first words out of our mouth is, damn it, I wish the beta was still going on.
Damn it, I'm bored again.
Because no other game that I have makes me want to play it as much as this did.
Yeah, and what was your response
You've
when I
got
asked
something
you?
very special.
What was your response when I asked you if you thought it lived up to the hype? It was better, not as good, or as good as you thought it would be. What was your response?
I thought this was far better than I expected.
Wow.
And
He's pickier than I am.
I didn't know what to expect here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it could have been really bad.
You never know what you're going to get. We had played Dauntless. And unfortunately, that game has really failed to live up to the hype that we had for it. And so that sets a little bit of a bad precedent in our mouth. When we go to play this game, we're not sure where we're going to be. Now, we had very high hopes for it. We had seen lots of great things on the trailers. But you never know until you play it. And this game definitely exceeded my expectations. This beta very, very highly exceeded my expectations. And where it really excels is, again, in creating those epic moments that, again, when you have a 4-player team and you're communicating with each other and you're trying to take down this huge big bad, right? And you finally fall them just as time is getting close and you've all worked together. There is a sense of teamwork and accomplishment there that very few games create. And this game does a superb job of that.
I agree. So what did you think about the graphics, Jdog?
Well, like I said, I thought the graphics, again, are they like the greatest ever? I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, I think I can describe it the best for both of us. Smooth, detailed, not outrageous.
No. But the
game of the, like, were the best graphics I've ever seen? No. Were they smooth and detailed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Were they perfect? No.
They don't detract from the game in any way. I don't think they detract from the game.
Beautiful graphics, just not like top tier, not like really top tier graphics, you know what I mean?
And again, this is a beta, so who knows? Things could change by the end of it. I mean, there's nothing about the graphics that are making me say don't play this. But is it the absolute greatest environment I ever saw? No, it's not. So, fine.
Greatest graphics. The environments are pretty damn sweet.
Graphics of the environment, sure. Okay, so let's talk about sound.
Of course. It's one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. I would say this is the number 2 best soundtrack of all time, the Monster Hunter series, surpassed only by Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. This soundtrack in this game, and I know when we streamed the title card, we were talking about this, how awesome and sweeping the music was. And there is this sense of the music complementing what's going on in the game. When you're searching for the monster, the music is subdued, if at all. And you've got the little birds chirping, and you have the monsters pitter-pattering around, right? And you got the herds of the other monsters, just doing their thing. And it's like, okay, there's not a lot happening here, right? We're just kind of in this serene little world, and we're out there exploring. And then when you see the monster and the fight begins, the battle music is just epic.
Yep. Especially the Diablo's battle music is really good.
It gets your heart pumping, and it just complements the overall experience in such a way that that's what's in your mind. And all of that works together to create this memorable fight.
I agree.
That you want to have again and again. Again, we only had 3 quests, but how many times did we play them?
A lot.
20, 30, 40 times?
Yeah.
In 3 days? So, I mean, you want to relive it because it works so well together. Again, you've got the cool little palicos and they make their noises. You got some decent voice acting. The little girl that was out there helping you, the huntress or whatever.
I know she's your favorite part of the game.
She's got a cool little voice acting and all that stuff. So there's a real sense of like, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Where
immersion,
and where things just kind of all go together to create the experience. The monsters' roars, the monsters' movements and sounds, the way they kind of, when they're injured and they kind of squeak or like they kind of, huff and puff, so to speak, when they're limping. Again,
Anjanath like whimpers.
Yeah,
like
almost whimpers.
He squeak whimpers when he's hurt.
So it just adds that sense of this is a real creature.
This is a complete project.
Right.
This is a complete being right here. This could be a real thing in real life.
Yes. So there is that sense with this game more than most others that I've played.
Good. Let's talk
gameplay.
Sure. First, let's talk controls. My description of the controls were perfect. Sometimes there were imperfections, though. So I feel like it's the controls in the game for me, like the actual button layout, is perfect.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like is sometimes I'll hold L1 to and hit squares to like I used to on the 3DS. You hold L1, you hit the button to go through the thing. I didn't use left and right on the D-pad. So what I would do is I'd be doing that, and I'd be trying to turn my character at the same time with the right stick. And when I used the right stick, it went to that little slider wheel, and it screwed me all up and made me like select things, use a mantle, use a health booster, use all these different things I didn't want to use.
So you're talking item selection.
Yeah. So item selection is a little bit janky. And I understand that may just be a victim of process with the necessity of it for like the 4-way with communication and all that different stuff that they have, when you can select all that stuff. So that just may be a victim of necessity. But I thought that was a little janky. I thought that was a little disappointing. But that's my really only criticism for controls. Otherwise, I didn't have any issue with the controls at all. Layout is really smooth, very, very well done. And I liked it a lot.
Yep. For me, one of the great things about this, and now I hope this will carry to the regular game, but one of the great things, even here in the beta, was the amount of customization that was available to you from the options menu. Controlling how you targeted monsters, how you controlled the camera, different ways to track the monster. There was an incredible amount of customization available. I really appreciated that, because I experimented with different ways of tracking, because that's one of the things I really, really like. Different ways of running, different ways of sheathing, manual sheathing, automatic sheathing of a weapon. So again, you can tailor it to the way you're used to playing or the way you want to play. Very, very important. So yes, you can select different items either with a scrolling bar, which is kind of traditional to Monster Hunter, or a radial bar.
The radial bar screwed me up a couple times.
So different ways to do it. Again, it's customizable. It's responsive. I thought the characters moved, did what you wanted them to do at most points.
99.999% of the time.
Yeah, if there was anything, I would say there was a little bit. Sometimes you'd get into a weird position if you were pushed up against maybe a cliff or an outcropping, and the monster would kind of like go halfway into it, and you'd be sitting there and you wouldn't know exactly where your character is, and the camera would be kind of screwed up. Okay. That would be about the only thing I could see where the gameplay or controls didn't really work like I wanted them to.
Fair enough.
Sometimes you'd also be almost underneath or inside the monster, in some ways, and knowing what way your character is facing or which way your character was attacking was a little bit disappointing and a little bit hard to tell. And you'd find out you were attacking a wall, or you were attacking somewhere else where you didn't want to be attacking. So that was an issue I had. Again, this was minor. It happened infrequently, but it was there.
Agreed. Connectivity. Internet connectivity. For me, it was flawless. I never had a problem getting on.
Yeah, the internet connectivity with the game was fine. I did have it kick me out a couple times. Where my disappointment came with the matchmaking. I hope this is a beta-only thing, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work in the full game.
Remember, some of the features weren't working.
That's right. So again, with the beta, right, we can only talk about what we've played. But in order to join a friend's game, you couldn't just find his gamer tag or something easy like that. You had to punch in like a 12-digit code. So basically we're sitting on, live stream is sitting on the stream, telling each other these different codes that we have to push in. Annoying, took forever, and I didn't really care for it, to be honest with you. Now, again, beta, maybe they were trying to track different quests and get information and further servers, whatever they were trying to do. Fine, I can live with it for 3 days. I hope it's different in the real game, or in the full game.
I agree.
Because, every time we want to join a quest together, we got to sit there and punch in a 12-digit code?
I don't think so.
I hope not. I found this game to really press the action.
Yep.
Okay, in a way that's good, in a way it's bad. There was an ease of crafting, right? You could go into the menu, and you could find exactly what you needed to make any item you wanted. When you go to gather, you just go up to the thing, it's highlighted, you hit circle, and you got the item you need. When you go to mine, you go up to the little outcropping, You hold circle, and your guy just wails away at it and gets his item, and he's on to the next thing. So there's a speediness to the gameplay that is absent from the handheld versions. This game moves faster. Now, let me say this. In the beta, there was 20-minute time limits on the missions. I'm hoping that is because they had just the right fine-tuned, equipment versus what the monster's health was to really create some last-minute kills. I am very much hoping that a 20-minute time limit is not the case for the final game.
Typically, Monster Hunter time limits are 50.
In the handheld versions, most of the quest limits were 50 minutes, which was great. Had we had 50 minutes on these quests, we would have been able to kill most of the monsters in one go.
One guy soloed all 3 in under 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Several people did, actually.
Well, they're definitely less health in the solo
Solo's
versions.
way less health.
So that's a different thing. When you're playing with 4 people, those monsters are very, very tough. They get scaled up big time. So, I hope it's not a 20-minute time limit. And the reason for that is it forces
much more aggressive
offensive and aggressive playstyle.
It doesn't let you strategize as much.
Now, in the beta, you are given tons of items when you go on these quests.
Yeah.
You're given demon powders. You're given
Hard
life
shell
powders. You're giving a mantle.
Hard
right?
shell powders.
Hard shell powders. 10 mega potions.
Paralyzed potion knives. That you can launch out of your slinger, by the way.
All this different stuff. You're given a wealth of items. Tons of them
Yep.
to use on every quest. You can also take more items out of the supply box. You can eat before the quest. So you are loaded to the teeth when you go in there. However, with the 20-minute time limit on a 4-player quest and a very beefed up monster, you have to play offensively. So the beta does not really teach defensive posturing. It doesn't teach correct. It doesn't allow you to really learn how to maybe run away from the monster and regroup and plan out another thing, because honestly, as the time continues to run down, everybody's just running in there trying to do as much damage as possible and hopefully get the thing dead before the time runs out. We had a lot of times where the monster was limping, got to his last place, and we just couldn't quite kill him before the time ran out. Maybe we didn't find him right away. It took us 3.5, 4 minutes to find him. And so we just weren't able to deal enough damage in the time we had. Again, it's still made for some epic, fun moments. It's a great time and some great matches.
Yep.
But it definitely forced an offensive playstyle.
Definitely.
Again,
hoping that'll be different in the
I'm
original,
hoping
the regular game.
in the full game that's going to be different, and it's going to allow you to play a more protracted playstyle based on, okay, we can't just all gang rush the monster, beat him up, take a little damage, heal, and then rush him again and deal damage and then heal. Right? That's not the style I've learned to play, because in the full games on 3DS, you need to be a little bit more cautious about just bum rushing the monsters, or you're going to run through all your items. Right?
Very quickly.
And
you need those for multiple quests.
That being said, the quests were still fun, they were still enjoyable, but they did force an offensive playstyle. So I hope that's different.
Me too.
Or I hope that we at least get the choice. If we want to play offensively, that's great. And I'm not, if somebody says that's how we play, that's great, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to play a little more cautious, if you want to utilize the environments a little more, it was tough to do in 20 minutes. So
let's talk about the weapons. Again, I think I can make one statement that'll cover both of us, but I'll see how I'm doing. Made every weapon relevant.
yes.
The Monster Hunter World makes every single weapon relevant. It makes the bow relevant, the light bowgun, heavy bowgun. There's a sniper bowgun or whatever the hell it is, the bone shooter, and all the other weapons. Makes them all relevant with their new abilities. Whether it be they have a cool, what is that, dragon fire or whatever ability with the bow now, where you scrape the ground, light it on fire, and you shoot it, and it's like exploding.
Charge shot type thing.
Exploding fireworks when they hit them. I thought that was really cool. You got Wyvern Heart, Wyvern Blast, Wyvern Snipe, and the bow guns. So that was really, really cool.
For the most part,
Yeah.
the weapons handle exactly like you expect, and they have the same combos for the most part that the other games had on the handheld, and even the same combo button presses
For the most part.
for the most part. I usually played Sword and Shield or Longsword on the handhelds. That's what I had gotten good with, and that's what I had used most often.
Yep.
This is the first time I ever tried ranged weapons, and they're actually viable. We almost never used range.
Well, they
on
were
the
viable
handhelds.
before. We just didn't use them.
They're very viable this way.
Mm-hmm.
They can be used effectively. They are not as obtuse to use as they were in the handheld versions. Selecting the ammo is easy. So is aiming the weapons. So is firing the weapons. It's fun. Ranged weapons are not only useful, but in a team of 4 would probably be encouraged.
Oh, yeah.
So we really like the way they have the ranged weapons set up in this game. I also used the switch axe for the first time and found it to be incredible. Not just as a damage dealing weapon, but in the way it handles and in its combos. I really, really enjoyed using it.
It is very good.
So
I liked what they did with the circle attack with the hammer. It's an overhead slam, and if you hit them with it, you can do another one and another one until it builds and does more and more and more damage each hit, and crescendos into a final destructive, like just crushing finale. I really like what they did there, and you can now charge. You can now store a charge from your hammer attack, and you'll do a different. Like instead of a super pound, you'll do a different spinning super pound to do more damage and knock them out better. It was really, really cool, and some of our subscribers are actually weighing in and telling me that because I didn't realize you could store it until the final day of the beta. So as soon as I saw that, man, I started doing that like crazy because it did a ton of damage. It was awesome. Really, really neat stuff.
So they definitely have made almost, I feel all the weapons are usable.
Yep.
They are all viable. They are interesting. They require different play styles and different mindsets to use.
Oh yeah.
And I think in this game more than any other Monster Hunter, I would be more willing to have multiple different options, which will be good.
Yep.
To be able to say, hey, I want to be good with a ranged weapon. I want to be able to use a hammer in certain situations. I want to use a switch axe, sword and shield, or a longsword. So lots of different options.
Yeah, I agree.
And that makes the game, keeps the game fresh, and allows you to take on multiple fights multiple times.
And like you were saying, these changes make you want to use all of the weapons.
Exactly.
They don't make you want to say, well, screw bow guns, I'm never using them. Screw the bow, it's useless, it does nothing. You know, it doesn't make
Or it's hard to use.
Yeah, it doesn't make you say that anymore.
Or you have to wear weak armor to use it.
Yeah,
you know.
That was the thing they did away with it. I'm glad they did. It's more of an inclusive play style. And I like that. I think it was about time they did that. It was good. Very good. What do you think about the new monsters?
Well, I think the new monsters are fine. We saw a couple returning monsters, the Rathalos and the Diablos, both familiar monsters to Monster Hunter veterans.
Yep, and the Baroth.
And the Baroth, yep. And then you saw a couple new ones, the Uratodos and the Anjanath and the Great Jagras. Now, the Great Jagras was...
Great Jagras is like your Great Jaggy,
Yeah.
your Great Roggy. He's an introduction monster. He's somebody, you fight and beat him 10 times in a row while you might be ready to go fight Baroth or Jiratodos.
He doesn't offer a ton in a way of strategy. He's basically just there. He might do a little rush attack at you here or there, but he's not terribly difficult.
He's probably not going to kill you multiple times in a row.
Yeah. The Uratodos was a little bit more interesting. I liked it when we found him and the way he kind of moved around in the mud.
That was cool.
And spit it at you.
That was a cool fight.
That was a fun fight. I liked him. I compared him on the stream to Ludroth from 3U.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't think Uratodos was going to be in the demo. Because
I didn't know
I had
that
heard
either.
nothing about him. And all of a sudden we start the demo and here's Uratodos. I'm like, oh, here's another new monster that we get to fight. That was so darn exciting.
It was cool. It was a great touch, and I appreciated that very much.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
He was a fun fight, and then the Baroth, the Diablos, the Rathalos were great, and Anjanath was great too. I enjoyed fighting him a lot.
T-Rex was awesome.
Yeah, super fun fight. Another thing I really like about this game is the way they're dealing with armor and the armor skills. I basically, and again, because this beta forced a more offensive playstyle, I used armor that complemented that with attack boosts.
Sure.
And so I was wearing an armor set that gave me attack level 4. So you could, every armor piece that they had in the beta had different skills that you could have. So if you wore different armor, you could have 4 or 5 different skills. It was pretty cool. The skills are easier to understand. The way they build up is easier to understand. They don't really have the negative skills like they had in the previous versions, which is great. So it just seems to be more streamlined, and that is something I very much appreciated.
Well, I always say I'd rather them make the monsters a little bit more difficult and just drop the negative effects.
Exactly.
I'm okay
I agree.
with that.
Yep.
Give the monsters an extra 200 health. I can do that, no problem.
Yep.
300-400 health, I don't care. 1,000 health, whatever, don't matter.
Yeah, I
Beat
agree
'em
100%. Yep. Let the monsters be the fight. I know in some of our previous videos I talked about how I'd have spreadsheets telling me what different negative effects were I going to have to gem out in the 3DS versions. So I'm very happy to see that going away, and where we can just focus on, okay, this armor is going to give me this many points in this skill and is going to raise my attack by this much. Much easier to understand, much easier to deal with. I really liked it. So, all that said, what needs improvement?
Well,
Can't let Capcom off the hook without
no,
offering
they can't. No, they're not off the hook.
some things to tidy up on. I've got a few thoughts.
First of all, environments, oh my god. I thought they were beautiful. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
I had that written down. Environments, oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely.
Capcom, what does this game need to fix?
Number one, finding and joining friends quests needs to be easier.
Must be streamlined. And I think it will be for the final release.
And I
but
think
it
so,
must
too.
be, because that is, I'm adding that to our top 6 ways they can ruin Monster Hunter by not having a good quest finding system.
If every time you want to play with somebody you got to get a 12-digit code and type it in on a PlayStation, that would be ridiculous.
It'd be kind of annoying.
So I can't imagine they're going to have that for the final version.
I hope not.
But it needs to be addressed. For me, also, another thing that didn't always work as good as I thought it should have was the tracking of the monsters.
Boo! Didn't like it.
We've
Did
got
not like it.
We've got to get this cleaned up. When you meet the monster, right? Since there isn't really paintballs and things in this beta,
Sure.
when you meet the monster and he runs off, you got to know how to get back to him, especially in a 20-minute time limit fight where you basically need to be fighting him at all times.
Yeah.
Especially if you die and you start back at a camp. You need to know which way to go. So, yes, you can highlight them on the map, and most of the time, the little scout flies would take us to them. Most of the time, but not always. I want to see that cleaned up. I need to be able to get back to that monster immediately. Okay? My team needs me. I can't be running around trying to figure out how to get there. I need to know. Very, very important.
I agree.
So, what else?
I would like to see that confusion with when you hold L1 to select items, and let's say I got to move or turn suddenly, and then I'm moving and I go to turn, and all of a sudden turning using that right stick selects the radial. I understand that it may be a creature of design, and that's fine.
Well, you can also select items with the right D-pad.
I understand that, but I'm not used to that.
Okay.
I'm used to holding L1 and square and circle. That is what I'm used to, so that is what I do. I feel like I just may need to work that out of my system. Okay. And I feel like if I do,
I think
I'll
you can
have a much better
also
experience.
select it on the options menu about how it works as well.
Okay, that might be
so
something
might be
I'll
a
have
way.
to check out once it starts. But that was one thing that was really wanky for me. I really did not care for that. But like I said, I think I can get over that just by adjusting my playstyle a little bit. I've had enough time on Monster Hunter. I don't think that should be a problem.
And then some other final thoughts. Just sometimes when you're pushed up against a wall or you have a monster knocked over, your character seems to fold it inside, right? The two graphics get folded inside each other, and you can't tell exactly where your character is. This is a problem. And it is a very big annoyance, and I'd love to see it addressed. So you've got some, and you have some weird hitboxes on some of the monsters' attacks. When they charge, sometimes it doesn't look like you're going to get hit. You're on like the side of their leg, and their thigh brushing by you knocks you away and does a quarter of your health. That happens with Diablos a lot.
Diablos has ridiculous hitboxes.
So some of the hitboxing on the enemies, I'm not sure if it's because of the way his wings come out, or if his tail hits you, or, you know, it felt like you got hit by the wind, you know, which wasn't the greatest. It didn't feel right. It didn't look right. It didn't happen often, but it did happen a couple of times. I'd like to see that addressed as well.
I feel like this might be a time to cue in some of the obnoxious hitboxes from the Dauntless monsters, but we're not going to.
Hitboxes are important. I like to fight the monsters close. I'm usually for the most part, using a melee weapon, so I'm right up there, right? I fought him.
Do you remember in Dark Souls how if the weapon didn't touch you, you didn't get hit?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Very important, and I think it's just as important with Monster Hunter, because when I'm in Dark Souls, man, if I can walk, if I could sidestep, or if I could roll around that attack and avoid it completely, I would do it, and that needs to be in Monster Hunter. They need to have tighter hitboxes. I don't know if it's just lazy development or what it is, but that has got to get better, because Diablos is not the only offender of that.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of times he'd rush by, and you're like, well, I'm in a good position, and all of a sudden you're flying backwards, and you're like, he didn't really hit me. I think maybe my character got scared. But he didn't really hit me.
My character got scared a quarter of his health.
Yeah, he didn't really actually touch my character.
Yeah.
So, just a little bit off on the hitboxes. I really want to see it addressed, and I hope it's tightened up in the final game. I really do. Overall thoughts. For me,
you go first.
An incredible, incredible experience.
I haven't seen you this excited to play a game in a long damn
Yep.
time.
Tons of wow moments. Tons of
Just watch our video.
great excitement. Finally seeing these monsters that used to be 2 inches really come to life on the big screen. It's like being in Jurassic Park.
Basically.
You know what I mean? And
Well,
fighting.
especially with all the dinosaurs.
Triggered. So, just, you know, again, once the beta ended, the feeling wasn't, I'm glad that's over. The feeling was, I'm sad I can't play more.
I gotta wait over a month for it to come out.
Yeah. So that's really the overall feeling of this, is just what a phenomenal experience. Nothing that I played would prevent me from being excited about this game, but definitely I just want to see a couple of those things that we mentioned tweaked and worked out and smoothed out, and we have just a phenomenal game on our hands here. For me, this was a 9.75 out of 10. I loved every moment of it.
Where were you during the beta?
Yep, I loved every moment of it.
My turn? My turn?
Yep.
Monster Hunter World Beta for us was a really great experience. For me, playing the game was great. That was fine. I enjoyed it, had a good time. But my favorite part about the Monster Hunter World Beta was actually being able to communicate with you guys. That was really important to Jdog and myself, and we talked about this going into it. We wanted to make sure we had the subscribers involved, both on Dealer and the Beast and on the Balding Plebs. It was very, very important to me that I had the chance to not only play with some subscribers during that beta, because we've been talking about it, but also to communicate with them during our streams and during our videos. So for me, the Monster Hunter Beta was a success on that fact alone, that I got to finally interact with some of my subscribers, which I've been wanting to do for months. I've just been waiting for the right game to do it. And I felt like Monster Hunter World was that game.
You know, I think Monster Hunter has always been a social experience.
It is. It is definitely a social experience.
To me, yes, I know people play it solo. It wouldn't be as much fun solo.
It's not fun for me solo either. I'm good at it. It's just not fun solo.
It's a lot more fun when you get to communicate with a team and you work together and you accomplish a goal. I mean, it's really great. I think it taps into that primitive part of your brain, right? That hunter-gatherer part of your brain. It's very basic. It's very prehistoric, but there is something very real about that.
I like it. I agree.
I mean, that's human nature for 5,000, 10,000, however many thousands of years. Hunt, gather, and do it socially.
Hunt, gather, together.
Yeah. And that's really, really the crux of the whole game.
Yep.
And you're right about that. This was a very social experience for us.
But yeah, it was important to me, and it's been important to me since day one to communicate with you guys, which is why Jdog and I want you all to weigh in and let us know what you thought about the Monster Hunter World Beta. I know a lot of you have watched streams from around YouTube and around the internet. You've definitely seen more
Some
gameplay
of you
than
were
we did.
with us for damn near all 12 of those hours.
I was really, really impressed. Some
Which
of you
was
guys
awesome.
are freaking rock stars. You
And
really
some of
made
you
this
hunted
fun.
with us,
Yep,
and
it was
we'd
cool.
love your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
game,
shout outs to Cam
yeah.
and shout outs to Kyle and everyone else that played with us. I mean, it was a great experience.
Yeah, it was. It really was fun. Again, I had a great time with it. I had an absolute blast.
I think the real test now will come on day one launch when they have PS4 and Xbox One at the same time, loading the servers. Everybody's playing. It's not just a beta. And I think the real test will come to see how the game delivers on the playability and replayability aspects. A variety of monsters, DLC questions, what's there going to be, what's there not going to be. Apparently they've confirmed that there will be downloadable monster DLCs that will be free, which could be really, really exciting depending on who they brought. They just released the Third Fleet trailer, which showed us the return of Uragan and Levazioth as well. So really cool monsters coming into play. I know you've never fought Levazioth, but he did make an appearance in Generations. I fought him recently for the first time when I was playing Generations to pass the time before World came out. So we'll definitely get to fight some new monsters together. And I'm very, very much so looking forward to the release of Monster Hunter World. So what Jdog and I want you to do...
What I think is another thing to mention here is just how much more comfortable it is to play. I don't think that can
maybe for you, because if I want to stream and have it be any good quality, I got to sit here in front of this.
Well...
But yeah, being able to play,
for me,
sitting in my comfy chair, which I think we can show off. Being able to sit in my comfy chair in front of my 65-inch 4K TV is really, really important to me.
I can't overstate that.
I like to be comfortable when we're gaming.
And that's important. There's only so much time you want to spend like this. Okay? And sooner or later, that wears on you a little bit.
Yeah. I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play. This is stupid. Let's go do something else.
There is something to be said for that comfort.
Like it.
And that great... being comfortable and having a great feeling while you're gaming.
I got my Secret Labs Titan here, just as comfortable as my
and being able to sit there, in your easy chair, right, and talking with your friends.
Yeah.
It's a really nice setup. It makes you want to keep playing.
Yep.
So
it's like being in a nice comfy chair at a casino.
There you go. You want to
I
keep
lost
pulling the
$50,
slots.
but you know what? I'm going to go play another one.
You want to keep playing the slots. No doubt about it.
Throw another $1 and whatever.
So for me, there's all those little things that are going together here to really make a great experience.
I agree.
You guys know, for those of you that have watched our review videos, you know we don't pull any punches.
No.
Even when we're hyped up for games, if they don't deliver, we really let you know. And there is something to be said for when a game that we're excited for fails. We really feel disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that hasn't happened here.
It hasn't happened yet.
But I don't think it's going to. I mean, if the beta is any indication, this is going to be phenomenal.
Well, there's Zender was pointing out during the stream that there's already a running joke that the beta for Monster Hunter World is the game of the year 2017. A lot of people are saying that.
I played it more than just about any other AAA title all year.
Yeah, I didn't find myself. I didn't find myself putting very many games above it.
When you're playing a game, right, and you're not thinking about playing a different game,
you know it's a damn good game.
That's how you know it's a great game. Like when you're not thinking about, okay, I'm going to play this next, or I'm going to play this game next, or maybe I'll try this game next. When all you're thinking about is, okay,
what's the next quest?
What's the next thing we're doing? What's the next quest we're doing? Okay, what do I need to do on this quest? How can I help my team? When you're that engrossed, you've got a great experience. And that's what we had here.
World immersion, just like we talked about.
So important.
Gotta keep me in that world.
This game, more than maybe any other in many, many years is nailing that 100%.
I think if I had to compare it to any game, I'm not comparing the gameplay. I'm simply comparing the feeling I get when I play it. I would say the original Dark Souls when you and I played together.
I'd agree.
It made me want to sit there and play it for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours at a time, which you and I barely have the time to do that anymore.
Yep.
So for us on a Saturday to pick it up and say, all right, here's 8 hours of streaming.
It has to be
I
pretty
didn't think
special.
we'd stream for 8 hours.
Yeah, it
I
has
really
to be
didn't.
pretty special.
That's pretty cool.
And I agree with you. I remember that initial feeling of playing Dark Souls and
When we
being
first
so
summoned and we could first
Yep.
play together.
playing with a teammate. That first feeling in that game, and saying, "Oh my God, I have to see the next environment. I have to experience the next
You have to
fight.
fight the next boss.
I have to get to the next boss." That game had it way back 2011 or 12 or whenever it was. And it's been a long time, and most of the other Dark Souls games have also had it as well. But it's been a long time, and there haven't been a lot of other games since that series that have really made me feel that way.
Nope.
Where I've got to see what's next. I've got to check out this new environment.
Very, very few games.
And this game is really getting that feeling. It's really nailing that feeling. And that's so, so important.
I agree. Well, we want you all to weigh in and let us know what you thought about the Monster Hunter World Beta. What did you think from the streams you watched? What did you think from the content and the gameplay that you've seen? And how do you think the Monster Hunter World release in January is going to go? Give us your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed our discussion. And remember, if you want more content like this, subscribe to the Balding Plebs and become a plebhead today. I'm Neil.
I'm Jdog.
We are the Balding Plebs. Good night.